Revenge Worth Millions. Chapter 1. The Day He Laughed at Me in Court. They thought I was just a wife with a soft heart. But that night at the dinner table I was already planning my revenge. The clinking of silverware and fake laughter filled the air as the Brown family gathered in their sprawling Atlanta mansion. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above them, throwing little rainbows across the white marble floors. Erica sat there in a sleek red dress Marcus had picked out for her months ago, back when he still pretended to care. She watched him now, laughing too loud at his sister's story, flashing that perfect smile like he hadn't just spent the afternoon with another woman. She knew. Oh, she knew. The scent of that cheap vanilla body spray wasn't hers. Her fingers tightened on the stem of her wine glass. She felt the burn of her own reflection staring back from the dark red liquid. Erica smiled, sweet, polite, the same way she always did when she wanted to scream. "Erica, honey, could you pass the cornbread?" Marcus's mother, Patricia, asked with her signature condescending tone. "Of course, Mrs. Brown," Erica said, her voice smooth as honey. She handed over the plate and watched Patricia's perfectly manicured fingers snatch it up like a queen accepting tribute. This family. God, she had tried so hard to belong, to be the good wife, the perfect daughter-in-law. She learned their wine preferences, their inside jokes, even how to stay quiet when Marcus accidentally talked over her in front of his father. But tonight wasn't about fitting in. Tonight was about collecting information. "Marcus, baby," Erica said sweetly, her southern drawl thicker than usual. "You didn't tell me how your meeting went this afternoon. Big merger, wasn't it?" Marcus paused, his fork halfway to his mouth. There it was, a flash of guilt in his eyes so fast his mama probably missed it. But Erica didn't. "Oh, just business as usual," Marcus said with that practiced smile. "Boring stuff you wouldn't understand." She laughed softly. "You're probably right. I wouldn't understand why my husband smells like Bath and Body Works warm vanilla sugar when he's supposed to be at the office." The room went quiet. Patricia dropped her fork with a loud clatter. Marcus's brother choked on his sweet tea. "Excuse me," Marcus said, his voice tight. Erica leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs slowly like she owned the place. "Oh, don't mind me, I'm just curious how many mergers come with lipstick on your collar." The silence stretched so thick you could have cut it with a butter knife. "Erica, that's enough," Patricia hissed. "We don't air our dirty laundry at the dinner table." Erica turned to her, calm as ever. "You're right, Mrs. Brown, but this isn't laundry, this is a whole crime scene." Marcus's jaw clenched. "Erica, can we talk about this later?" She sipped her wine, unbothered. "Sure, later. Maybe right after you sign those papers I left on your desk." "What papers?" Patricia asked, her voice sharp. "Divorce papers," Erica said simply. "But don't worry, I'm not leaving empty-handed. Turns out my late father was smarter than any of y'all gave him credit for." Marcus's face drained of color. Erica could almost hear his thoughts spinning. Did she know about the land? About the trust fund? He thought she was too naive to dig. But Erica wasn't naive. Not anymore. She looked around the table at the family who'd smirked at her teacher salary and her humble background for years. They didn't know it yet, but she was about to own more than half of everything they held dear. And Lord help Marcus when the judge read her daddy's will out loud. Chapter 2. The night the mask slipped. The storm hit Savannah hard that night. Rain slammed against the windows of Erica's car as she sat parked outside Marcus's office building, fingers gripping the steering wheel so tight her knuckles turned pale. The wipers squeaked back and forth in a slow, angry rhythm. She should have driven home. She should have gone back to her quiet little house and poured herself a glass of wine. But something inside her, something deep and ancient like the voice of her grandmother telling stories under the oak tree, whispered, "Stay." She had never been the jealous type, but tonight wasn't about jealousy. It was about truth. Inside the office, lights still burned on the top floor even though it was nearly 10 p.m. Marcus's black Escalade sat in his reserved spot, gleaming under the rain like some smug panther waiting for prey. Erica's chest tightened. She remembered the early days when that same car pulled up to her tiny apartment complex, and Marcus stepped out in his crisp suits, holding flowers and saying things like, "Girl, you make me want to be a better man." Back then, she believed him. Back then, she thought love was enough. Now, all she could see was a man playing chess with her life, moving her around like she was nothing but a pawn. She watched as two shadows crossed the window upstairs, one tall, one shorter with long hair that swung like a curtain. They were laughing. Erica swallowed hard. Her phone buzzed on the passenger seat. A text from Marcus blinked across the screen. "Working late, sweetheart, don't wait up." She let out a bitter laugh that filled the empty car. Sweetheart. That word used to make her feel like she belonged. Now it felt like an insult, cheap and hollow. Her thumb hovered over the call button, but she stopped. No, she didn't want excuses, she wanted evidence. She grabbed her umbrella and stepped out into the rain. The wind whipped her hair around her face as she pulled her coat tighter. Each step toward the glass doors felt heavy, like the earth itself was trying to warn her. The lobby was empty except for a sleepy security guard watching a basketball game on his phone. Erica flashed her brightest smile and waved. "Evening, Mr. Calvin. Marcus asked me to drop off some papers." Mr. Calvin barely looked up. "Top floor, Miss Erica, you know the way." She nodded and stepped into the elevator, heart pounding so loud she swore it echoed in the walls. By the time she reached Marcus's office, her hands were trembling. She pushed the door open slowly, praying she was wrong. But there he was, Marcus, and she wasn't wrong. He sat behind his massive mahogany desk, jacket off, tie loose, with a woman perched on the edge of the desk. Her dress was too tight, her laugh too loud, and her hand rested on Marcus's chest like it belonged there. "Marcus?" Erica's voice cracked, softer than she meant. The woman jumped off the desk so fast you'd think she'd seen a ghost. Marcus shot up, his face a perfect mix of guilt and anger. "Erica, what the hell are you doing here?" Erica stepped inside, her wet shoes squeaking against the polished floor. She could smell the mix of his cologne and the woman's cheap perfume, and it made her stomach turn. "I could ask you the same thing," she said, her voice steady now. The woman grabbed her purse and bolted, mumbling an apology to Marcus as she passed Erica in the doorway. Erica didn't move, didn't flinch. She just stared at her husband like she was seeing him for the first time. "Erica, it's not what it looks like." Marcus tried to fix his tie, but his hands shook. She let out a dry laugh. "You know, that line might work on your little side project, but not on me." He stepped closer, his voice dropping low, trying that old charm that used to melt her. "Baby, listen, you're overreacting. She's just... Don't call me baby and don't lie." Marcus froze. Erica walked past him and sat in his chair, spinning it slightly like she owned the place. You want to know the funny thing, Marcus? I didn't come here tonight to catch you. I came here to warn you. Warn me? He frowned. She leaned forward, her eyes locking on his like a predator sizing up prey. You played a good game, I'll give you that. All those late nights, all those papers you had me sign without reading, the way you kept telling me my daddy's land wasn't worth much. You really thought you'd fooled me. Marcus's face twitched, but he didn't speak. Erica smiled, and this time it wasn't sweet. It was sharp. But here's the thing about pawns, Marcus. Sometimes they make it all the way across the board and become queens. The air between them crackled with tension. Outside, the storm raged harder, thunder shaking the windows like a drumbeat of war. You think you're the only one who's been planning, she said softly. Wait till you see what I've got lined up for you. Marcus took a step back. For the first time since she'd met him, he looked scared. And Erica felt alive. Chapter 3. When the Lioness Wakes Up. The sun was barely up when Erica sat at her kitchen table, staring at the pile of papers spread out in front of her. Her coffee had gone cold an hour ago, untouched. Outside, the Georgia morning was quiet except for a few birds singing like they didn't know someone's whole life was crumbling. She ran her fingers over the mortgage documents Marcus had her sign last year. Back then she thought he was just streamlining their finances. Now she saw it for what it was, a setup. Her father's land listed as collateral, her name barely visible in the fine print, and Marcus's signature bold and smug like he owned it all. A soft voice came from the doorway. Mama, why you up so early? It was her son Caleb, 8 years old, with big brown eyes that always seemed to see too much. Erica forced a smile and patted the chair beside her. Just thinking, baby, go wash up, okay? Mama's got some grown folks stuff to handle. He nodded and shuffled away in his Spider-Man pajamas. Erica exhaled slowly. Marcus might have underestimated her, but she couldn't afford to. Not when Caleb's future was on the line, too. She pulled out her phone and scrolled to Clarice Freeman's number. She hesitated, thumb hovering over the call button. Clarice was a legend in Savannah's legal circles. They called her the Iron Magnolia because she was sweet as pie to your face but could cut you to ribbons in the courtroom. Erica needed her now more than ever. Miss Freeman speaking, the voice answered sharp and warm at the same time. Miss Clarice, it's Erica Brown. Well, maybe not for long. Clarice chuckled. Child, I had a feeling I'd be hearing from you. Tell me everything. Erica didn't hold back. She told her about Marcus's affair, about the papers, about the land her daddy left her that Marcus claimed wasn't worth much. Clarice didn't interrupt once, but Erica could almost hear her mind working through the phone. When Erica finished, there was a pause. Then Clarice spoke, slow and deliberate. Baby girl, Marcus bit off more than he can chew. First, we're gonna find out exactly what your father left you. I don't care if it's a pile of dirt or a gold mine, we're gonna know every detail. Second, we're gonna make Marcus wish he'd never underestimated a black woman with nothing to lose. Erica felt her chest loosen for the first time in weeks. Miss Clarice, what if I already signed everything away? Let me tell you something my mama told me, Clarice said. The lioness don't forget how to hunt just 'cause she been in a cage. You hear me? I hear you. Good. Now send me every piece of paper Marcus ever put in front of you. We gon' turn this around. By the time Erica hung up, she felt something stirring in her gut. It wasn't anger, not anymore. It was power. Later that afternoon, Marcus strolled in like he hadn't been caught with his side piece less than 12 hours ago. He tossed his keys on the counter, smiling like a man who still thought he held all the cards. "Hey, babe, you good? You look tired." Erica wiped her hands on a dish towel and faced him, her expression calm. "I'm fine. Just been thinking." Marcus stepped closer, trying to kiss her cheek. She turned slightly, so he hit air. His brow furrowed, but he recovered fast. "Listen, about last night." "Save it," she said softly. "You don't owe me explanations, not anymore." His smile faltered. "What's that supposed to mean?" Erica held his gaze, her eyes steady. "It means you don't know everything, Marcus, but you're about to." She walked past him, her perfume lingering in the air like a warning. Marcus stood there, staring after her, a flicker of doubt finally creeping into his perfect posture. That night, Erica sat on her porch as the cicadas hummed loud under the Georgia stars. She thought about her father, how he worked 2 jobs and still found time to plant roses in their little yard. He used to say, "Baby girl, don't let nobody take your shine, you worth more than they can count." She whispered to the night air, "Daddy, I'm gonna make this right, I promise." And for the first time in a long time, Erica believed she could. Chapter 4. The courtroom didn't see it coming. The day of the hearing came with a sky so heavy it felt like it might break open any second. Thunder rumbled in the distance as Erica stepped out of her car, heels clicking against the cracked courthouse pavement in downtown Savannah. She wore a cream-colored suit her mother had left her years ago, the kind that made people sit up and listen. Marcus was already there, leaning against his Escalade with his lawyer crew huddled around him like he was some celebrity on a press tour. "Erica," Marcus said as she walked by, his voice dripping with fake warmth. "You sure you want to do this? We can settle. No need to drag this out and embarrass yourself." She didn't even blink. "Funny. That's exactly what I was about to say to you." Inside the courtroom, the air was cool and sharp with the faint scent of old wood polish. Erica sat beside Clarice Freeman, who wore a deep purple dress and pearl earrings that gleamed like tiny moons. Clarice flipped through a stack of papers with the calm of a woman who already knew how the story ended. Across the aisle, Marcus sat with his $1,000 lawyer, Darren Bishop, a man with slicked-back hair and a face so smug you'd think he invented money. He leaned over and whispered something to Marcus that made them both chuckle. Erica kept her eyes on them, her expression unreadable, though inside her chest her heart thumped like a gospel drum. "All rise," the bailiff called as Judge Ruth Washington entered, her black robe sweeping the floor. She was a stout woman with sharp eyes that seemed to see through lies like glass. "Let's get started," Judge Washington said. "We're here for the final division of assets in the case of Brown versus Brown." Darren stood first. "Your Honor, my client, Mr. Brown, has been more than fair. He's agreed to let Mrs. Brown keep her teacher's pension and a small cash settlement." Erica felt Clarice stiffen beside her, but neither woman spoke. "Let him talk," Clarice had said earlier. "Let him dig his own hole." "And of course," Darren continued, "the property in question, the undeveloped land in Chatham County, should be sold to pay off the marital debts." It's of minimal value and not worth prolonged debate. Judge Washington turned her sharp gaze on Erica. Mrs. Brown, do you have a response? Clarice stood, smooth as silk. Yes, Your Honor, we do. Contrary to Mr. Bishop's claims, that land is not of minimal value. In fact, we've obtained geological surveys and financial records proving the property sits atop a significant natural gas reserve. It's valued at approximately $14 million. The room went silent. Marcus's smirk melted like ice cream in the sun. His lawyer's pen froze mid-scribble. Clarice wasn't done. Additionally, Mrs. Brown's late father set up a trust fund specifically excluded from marital assets. The trust currently holds over $2 million and is legally inaccessible to Mr. Brown under Georgia state law. Marcus shot up from his chair. That's a damn lie. She's just a... Mr. Brown, sit down, Judge Washington said firmly. Clarice slid a voice recording across the table. Your Honor, we also have evidence of Mr. Brown discussing plans to manipulate Mrs. Brown into signing over her assets under false pretenses. Shall I play the recording? Judge Washington's face hardened. That won't be necessary. I've heard enough. Marcus sat down hard, his face pale, his lawyer whispering furiously in his ear. Mrs. Brown will retain her inherited land and trust fund, the judge declared. Furthermore, due to Mr. Brown's deceptive practices, the prenuptial agreement is hereby void. Mrs. Brown is entitled to 50% of all marital assets. Erica felt her hands tremble as she gripped Clarice's arm. Clarice leaned close and whispered, "That's checkmate, baby girl." As they left the courtroom, Marcus caught up with her in the hallway, his tie loose and his voice low. Erica, wait. We don't have to do this. I made mistakes, yeah, but I can fix it. You know I still love you. She stopped and looked him dead in the eyes. Marcus, love don't look like lies and papers that steal what ain't yours. Love don't smell like cheap perfume in your office at midnight. Please, he whispered, his hand reaching for hers. She stepped back. You wanted a queen who'd bow to you, but I'm the queen who stood up. Erica walked away without looking back. The storm outside had finally broken, rain pouring hard, but she didn't feel a drop. She felt free. Chapter 5: The Woman Who Owned Herself. The air smelled like sweetgrass and fresh rain as Erica stepped out onto her porch, the morning sun peeking through clouds that still dripped with last night's storm. Birds chirped loud in the magnolia trees like they were celebrating with her. For the first time in 3 years, she felt the weight in her chest finally lift, as if her heart had grown its own wings. Inside, Caleb was at the kitchen table, coloring superheroes in his notebook. His little legs swung under the chair, and every now and then he hummed the theme song to some cartoon she didn't recognize. Erica smiled softly at him. She was no longer the woman who had to force herself to smile. Her phone buzzed on the counter. It was a text from Clarice. Congrats again, baby girl. You made history in that courthouse yesterday. Call me when you're ready to set up the foundation. Erica set the phone down and looked out across the yard where the sunlight hit the wet grass, making it glitter like emeralds. She thought about her father, about his calloused hands and his quiet strength. He used to say, "Baby girl, it don't matter if they see your crown. What matters is you know it's there." The front gate creaked, pulling her out of the memory. Marcus stood there, suit jacket slung over his shoulder, his tie loose like he'd had a long night. He looked smaller somehow, like the arrogance that once filled his broad shoulders had been drained out. "Erica," he said, voice low, almost broken. "Can I talk to you?" She didn't answer right away. She took her time walking down the steps, her heels clicking on the wood as she crossed her arms. "What could you possibly have to say, Marcus?" He let out a shaky breath. "I was stupid, greedy. I thought I was so clever, but I lost everything, not just the money. You." Erica tilted her head. "You didn't lose me. You never had me. You had control, you had power, and you thought that was love." "I swear I loved you," he said, his voice cracking. "Loved me?" She laughed, soft but sharp. "Marcus, you loved what I didn't know. You loved the idea of molding me into someone you could manage. But I outgrew that mold." He stepped closer, rainwater still clinging to his shoes. "Can't we try again? Start over?" Erica shook her head. "You taught me something, Marcus. I don't need to start over with anybody but myself." He opened his mouth like he wanted to argue, but no words came out. For the first time, Marcus Brown looked utterly defeated. "Goodbye, Marcus," she said gently. "Take care of yourself." As he turned and walked back to his car, Erica didn't feel anger or even satisfaction. What she felt was deeper, richer. Freedom. Later that afternoon, Erica met Clarice at the newly purchased building downtown. The windows were dusty, the floors scuffed, but she could already see the future here. "This is it?" Clarice asked with a grin. Erica nodded. "The James Family Foundation. We're going to give scholarships to girls who grew up like me, girls who were told they were too small to matter." Clarice clapped her hands. "Now that's a legacy your daddy would be proud of." As the sun set over Savannah, painting the sky in orange and gold, Erica stood outside her foundation's building and closed her eyes. She heard her father's voice again in her memory, warm and steady. "A seed don't care who doubts it, baby girl. It just keeps growing." And she was growing, strong, rooted, unstoppable. The moral of her story wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about winning. It was about remembering her worth and choosing herself every single time. In the end, Erica didn't just survive Marcus. She thrived.